In this episode, I want to talk about the need of overlapping of images. And I want to give you, of course, some examples why that is so important. You can see here we don't have anything overlapping. And the typical mistake is, of course, that when we look a little bit up, then our attention goes, of course, not down. And I have done this many times to avoid those traps, of course. And when you have a little bit attention to the cinematography series, then you know already where the light is, the eye goes, and where the darkness is, we are not so interested in. And exactly here, this could be an example where our eyes were focusing exactly here on this area. And I want to show you that, of course, I have here number 10 and number 6. And this could be an idea that we have when we look through the viewfinder, that we have the lights here and we have here the billboard, and we get exactly what we need. It's overlapping, we are 100% certain, and then we come back and we see there's a gap. Of course, this would be easily fixable in Photoshop with a little bit work with the stamp tool that goes here very fast, especially here over these textures. No one would notice that because the eye doesn't go here. We go here to the light and we expect maybe here the next crime story or something like that. Whatever this image here is and for which set it was shot. Of course, I have simulated here that to make it really clear what we have here in terms of problem. The problem starts normally that we tilt maybe the camera a little bit up, and then we see that the distortion that is needed to fit exactly this area with the next image, and it shrinks a little bit here. And the main idea is, of course, to have in the middle part the least amount of distortion, and then we go here to the sides, and there it gets smaller. That means normally the idea is the material goes better. Lenses have a tendency to go to the border a little bit softer, blurrier, and the cheaper the lens is, the more you might see it, which is of course always given with some examples where you have a very cheap lens, maybe $100 even for a 50mm lens, and it's fantastic to shoot with. But the tendency is the wider a lens get, the more you will see that money pays maybe here off. Anyway, what we have here is again easily fixable, and when I go here into my scene, I want to show you something else, why we should always have a little overlap. Here, this door here was open, and in the next shot we see someone here in the side, and then we see someone here is gone. So for this little point here, where I have enough coverage, we have 3 different situations. If that is really on the border here and we have here a dramatic change, we might get not exactly the overlapping that we need and that we can decide where we want to cut. We get forced to cut to the better one, to the better quality, but maybe not to the better idea that we want to have. Maybe we want to have this guy in the scene. Maybe we need something without any movement. An open door that maybe distracts the viewer when you use it as a backplane, because an open door on a car, the lights on, what is that for a story? And if you are looking for stories, this indicates always something happens here. So for the backplane, we need exactly this. Maybe you even go in Photoshop and create here dark lights for the car, so you don't have any attention here. I had here, of course, enough pictures, and so I can show you how much I have done here in terms of images, and I show you that again. So each little border here is one image. What I can do now here is, of course, I can pick whatever I like. For this situation with the door, I can have all 3 different things then inside of my scene, and I pick the best one out, or the one that I want to have. I want to have a car here, no problem. We have all of these images here. One time with a car here inside, one time with no car. And I can show you that here. When we go here one time along all these pictures, there is some life in it. And sometimes there is a car, and then we have a light here, and then the car goes away and the light goes away. And we can mix this, of course. We can do whatever we like when we have enough coverage. And it's not always just the 1/3 where I'm after. It's also what is changing. And to shoot a little bit more is normally a good idea. Okay, long story short. What I do is I take the points that you have in your viewfinder, the focal points or whatever. Maybe you have a rule of third, whatever, inside of your viewfinder. Use this. And when I have a picture like this, I take mostly something here around in 1/3, move the viewfinder and take the next picture. Or I go even closer when I'm not really certain what happens here and there's a lot of movement. I have not always everything under control, and that means we need to shoot a little bit more than we would normally do under perfect conditions. And this was handheld even, and then I'm always a little bit more careful. What I want to show here is, of course, keep your class clean. And I haven't done this. I have no idea what hits me here. I shot maybe only 20 minutes one time the street up and down, and the lens was dirty. I have no idea if someone has watered the flowers or so. There were water drops on it. Perfect. But what I want to show you here is, of course, normally when you shoot directly into a light source, maybe the sun, for example, then the lens flare is minimized normally. When you go to the left or to the right, the lens flare will go through your picture. So whatever you have in terms of shooting, try to shoot directly into the brightest light to minimize this. Helps. Thanks for listening. Have fun with it. Bye bye.